Hey, 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 Pajama Grandma, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Smelling some lilacs and getting ready for take 3 of this preliminary live webinar build live video. I just did it a few minutes ago. Actually, I talked too long and I forgot to actually share the worksheet and share my screen. I popped on the menu down below and that made it so I could see it and talk through it, but it didn't show the worksheet or the planning sheet to anyone else. So I'm going to quick reshoot this video because there's no point in listening to me talk for 40 minutes about a sheet that you cannot see. When, if you had the sheet and printed it out in front of you, it'd be one thing. But if you can't see it as I'm talking along, it's not exactly as valuable as it is when I show it to you. What I want to do is show you some really cool shortcuts that I've discovered over the years, or year and a half or so, that I've been doing live webinar builds for myself and for clients, and that I use now. It's a shortcut strategy that I use every time I go about starting a new business for myself or for an individual, another individual, or for another team or group. And the first thing I do is I'm going to create 5 slides of the actual webinar presentation. I'm going to tell you what those 5 slides are in a minute, but I go in and I always build things off of an existing template or things that I've created. So I have a PowerPoint webinar presentation slide deck that is just generic, and I edit that every time I do a webinar, or I do a webinar for anyone else. And in that, the first 5 slides that I'm going to create are these. Number 1, the stack slide. What am I offering? What is my offer? If I can know where my camera is on this. What is my offer, and what am I offering in my stack slide? So for example, this one, I just pulled this out of a file because I actually used one of my own early on to show people what I do and what we need to create for them right off the bat. So this is actually my chronic pain webinar that I did. Oh, I did that a long time ago now, but I want to use this as an example because you can see that we actually wrote on and built their information right off of these worksheets, the same thing that I'm sharing with you right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to build what the heck's my offer? What am I offering to my ideal client? I brainstorm and I've come up with my package, and again, based on the teachings and expert secrets. So we've got the 6-week painkillers masterclass. We've got the chronic painkillers prescription or toolbox. That's the tools. We've got instant painkillers, which addresses the vehicle false beliefs. We've got painkillers assassinations, which addresses the internal false belief. And then painkillers community, which addresses the environmental external false belief that the people might have about this particular product. And all of those tie together and work together to do the one thing that my ideal client wants the most. And with respect to this offer, it's to kill chronic pain. They want to get over chronic pain and kick it out of their life once and for all. So the first slide is the offer slide or the stack slide. The next slide that we produce, and these aren't in any particular order, but I want to share the 5 that we do in the beginning, is the headline slide. Let me prove through there. Obviously, I've gone through these a lot and they're not in order, but then we make the headline slide. So we create the headline slide, and I honestly usually create 2. So there's 6 slides that I create right off the bat. And the reason I do that is I'm going to start testing these 2 headlines and see which one gets better response before I build out all the other 95 or 125 or 200 slides, how many ever it is for this particular presentation. I'm going to make these 5 or 6 first, and then I'm going to do all the rest after I create my live webinar funnel. I'm going to explain to you why I do it that way in a little bit. But then I also create my goal for this web class, and that is my big domino statement. And that's my promise of what I'm going to deliver on this webinar when they attend. This is what I'm going to actually deliver to them. We'll talk about that as we go through the worksheet. Then I'm going to also I like to do my if all this did statements. I like to do those right off the bat too as I'm creating it as one of my first slides so that I know to be consistent in my messaging throughout the entire slide deck when I'm actually creating the webinar that I'm going to deliver on the live presentation. Now, these are 2 different things. What I'm delivering, there's 3 different things let's talk about. The Webinar funnel is just to get people to register and join us live on the webinar. That's the purpose of that. And then to sell the product and deliver the product, because I build my funnels for webinars in a certain particular way. So I've got everything included. But right now we're just talking about the registration portion of that. Then we've got the actual slides and the PowerPoint presentation and the presentation that we're doing on the live webinar. And then thirdly, we've got our deliverable, what we're delivering. And I deliver it in the form of a masterclass. That's what I teach people to do. And then the supporting things that go along with that. I deliver everything that I possibly can in the actual membership area of the funnel itself. That keeps everything compact, connected, and really simple, easy for me to manage, especially when I'm managing it and doing it for other people. If I'm creating this and helping other people do this, it makes it really easy for me to be able to create it all in one place. And I'll show you that when I pull up the funnel. But that's it. Those are the 5 pages. It's super simple. And you're going to see why I need these pages created from the very beginning. But instead of spending months putting together your slide deck, like I admittedly did on my first webinar, I can do these in about half an hour. And that's because I have to think about, number one, I have to think about the big domino. I have to think about what the headline should be. And I have to build curiosity into my secrets. That's what takes me the longest, is the planning part of that. But to actually create these 5 slides, you know, maybe I could probably do them in less than half an hour, but I like to usually give myself an hour or so to make sure I can knock these out. So I want to show you first the 5 slides. Now, once I've got these 5 slides, I have just about everything I need to begin building my live webinar funnel. Because before I spend the time and energy building that all out, I want to get some people registering. Number one, it does a couple things. If I've got people registering, I know I'm on the right track and I've got the right messaging. If I don't, I know I'm not on the right track and I need to make some tweaks and changes before I go to all the trouble of producing, you know, how many ever slides it's going to be for the presentation. And most of my slides are well over 100. And so I don't want to spend my time and energy creating all those creative slides if the messaging isn't right yet. So it allows me to get people beginning to register, or to let me know that the messaging isn't right off the bat. Now this time I'm going to actually share my screen and show you the, do you guys want to see me or not? I guess it doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and put me on there in the corner. I can be on the corner, then you can see if I'm making any funny faces or not. But let's actually share the screen this time and make sure you can see the worksheet. So now I'm going to go to the worksheet and pull it up. It's just a simple worksheet that I created for myself and for my clients to make sure that we've got everything we need before we start actually taking the time and energy to build the live webinar funnel. Otherwise, what I find, and I still have to go back and forth a little bit, but I was finding I was wasting so much time because I didn't have all of these things that I needed as I started building. And I would either have to create them while I was building the funnel, or I would have to stop what I was doing, go get them, and then come back and create that part of the funnel. So there was just so much back and forth, starting and stopping. It got really frustrating. I'm like, okay, if it frustrates me, it's going to frustrate other people too. So let's create a worksheet or a planning sheet to get the key components together. And I guarantee there's still going to be things that you want to do to tweak and change and make look prettier, but this will get it done as quickly and efficiently as possible in the first place. So what do we need on this worksheet or this planning sheet? Well, the first thing we need is we need our big domino. We need to know what is the overall one thing that we're going to provide to our ideal client with what we're offering them. What is the one result that my ideal client wants the absolute most? Now, I didn't say what is the one thing they need the most. What is the one thing they want the most? Because we need to provide them with what they want. And then in our fulfillment, we will give them what they need to get the result. Because we know as experts what they need, but most people don't ever buy what they need. They buy what they want. And so we want to make sure that we know what that one big thing is. And that leads us into our, what are we going to deliver? What is our promise for this particular webinar and web class? What are we going to teach them and show them and share with them? We want to create our own measuring stick by which they will judge whether our webinar was worth their time or not, whether it was a success or not. And we get to create that for them with the my goal for this web class slide. So my goal for this web class is the only way for you, my ideal customer, to get whatever it is that you want the most, the result you want the most, is through blank, which is the cool thing that my course does, the cool result that it gets you. And the only way to get that cool thing that you want the most is through using whatever my product or service is. So for example, in this one, it's the only way for you to get your life back is through killing your chronic pain. The only way to kill your chronic pain is through painkillers, which is the name of the product in the course that we were selling through this webinar. So that's the second thing that you want to pull together. Then you want a headline. You want to come up with a headline that breeds curiosity. It makes them want to join and be on your webinar. Remember, everything we're doing with respect to this is to get people to join the webinar live. That is our overriding purpose. That's all we want to do. And then after we come up with our headline, we need to know what we're going to call our product. We needed that for the previous statement as well. But we also need to know what are the 3 false beliefs that support our big domino, our big one thing with respect to the vehicle, the new opportunity we're providing them with, their internal false belief and their external false belief. We need to know what those are. And what I like to do in this section is I like to jot down next to them, what is my epiphany story that knocks out that false belief? Then with our product, what are the pieces or the components? And we've done it because it's on our stack slide, or we might do this before our stack slide. We work through this before we create these 5 slides, but I wanted to show you those first so that you know that we're creating them for more than just creating them. So then I want to come up with our secrets, and how we phrase our secrets is going to be, again, to build curiosity without giving away the answer. Because if we tell people the answer, or if they can even guess the answer and they guess wrong, they will not show up live for our webinar. And we want people live for our webinar. That is our best chance of getting them to buy, is if they're on our webinar live. So after we get this information and we've created our 5 slides, we also want to gather our assets and get some things together. We need to have everything that we need so that we can build quickly and efficiently, so we don't have to do all that back and forth. So if you're working with and you have a logo, you want to have that available. You have any graphics or pictures or videos that you want to use for your funnel, for the beginning parts of your funnel available. So for example, we use 4 videos in this particular funnel. You can take them out. You don't have to use videos, but we use videos to generate interest, to build know, like, and trust, so people see us and get to know us a little bit before they join us on the webinar. Now, keep in mind, the purpose of these videos is only to make them curious, make them excited, and want to join the webinar live. It's not to share our epiphany stories. It's not to share a bunch of information. It's not to give them the answer, or they will not show up live on the webinar. We also want to decide what kind of colors are we going to use in our funnel. I usually say black and white are my 2 primary colors for sure. And then I usually pick, 2, max 3 other colors that I'm going to use throughout my funnel. And I want to be consistent, so I have the same look and feel throughout the funnel. So decide ahead of time kind of what colors you're going for. If you're working with a client, of course, they'll already have their colors picked out. And so that's quick and easy. Other things you're going to need are links to other assets. For example, photos or videos. I like to add on my thank you page either a survey or continue my ask campaign, especially if it's my first webinar on this particular topic. I want to continue to ask them questions and get information from them while I'm out after I computer, which was awesome. I and for him to do his particular webinar, targeting his all of us. If it's still doing a perfect webinar based, so for homeschool moms to have this particular example, email to see it. Just actually, I should have, and it's really fun to do. Work hours, then we page in the particular funnel. Want this worksheet, just put, I'm going to pop back to Be Live because I'm going to show it in the link. If I died and this didn't work again, I'm going to cry because I do not want to do it 4 times in one day. Why is it not showing? Why is everything black? Why do I have no camera? Why, oh, why, oh, why? Oh, this is making me sad, guys. I'm going to go ahead and end this broadcast and wonder why the hell I'm talking to myself. Pajama Grandma out.